What's up, everybody? It's Luke James, not the singer. If you're looking to get your music reviewed, you can hit up this email that's right here. But today I'm going to run down the projects that I think were the worst of 2018. I got 10 of them, and I'm going to tell you very briefly what I thought about them here, because just like with my top 30, I already reviewed all of these projects, so you can just look up the review if you want to know everything I have to say about them. So we're going to jump right into it, starting with number 10, and that is Nicki Minaj's Queen. Now, I didn't really think this one was as bad as everybody else was saying because she does have some charisma and personality, some decent production and flows once in a while, but let's not get it twisted. This is still one of the worst albums of the year. There are a lot of beats on it that are pretty bad as well. There are some pretty cringy hooks, cringy verses, cringy bars, just a lot of cringe factor happening with this one, and it got even worse when she went on Twitter and started using her Twitter to break down these lines as if they were something fantastic. But overall, this was another one of those projects that was very bloated, not cohesive, and definitely not suiting for someone who's going to claim themselves as the queen of hip-hop. So there's a lot of work to be done there. And with number 9, we have A$AP Rocky's Testing, and this one might be one of the biggest disappointments of the year for me, man. I'm not going to say I'm a big A$AP Rocky fan, but I do like some of his earlier work. I think his first mixtape was great, and he has put out some other great projects as well. But with this one, he got a bit more experimental. I do understand people might have liked that because he was getting outside of his lane, but I don't think he pulled it off well. There were some really weak production choices on here, and then I don't know what he was doing with his rapping, because I think his rapping fell off worse than pretty much any other rapper this year. The flows weren't as strong, the lyrics weren't as strong, and that's not to say that he was ever this top tier spitter who I think was one of the best rappers in the game, but with this one he really took a step back. It just felt like a sloppy and unfocused album to me, so that's why it's on my list. And at number 8, we have 6ix9ine's Dummy Boy. This was essentially just the same track over and over and over, although you did get a couple of Latin trap tracks thrown in there that really didn't mix things up too much. 6ix9ine, now it looks like we're not going to be seeing too much of him because of all his legal problems, and I don't think we'll be talking about this album too much in the future either. Obviously, he got a couple of hits and bangers on this one, but it's essentially just the same shit. 6ix9ine yelling a bunch of nonsense over big beats. This one's forgettable. I don't even remember many tracks from it. And at number 7, we have Tyga with Kyoto, and he actually flipped the script with this one, man. Rather than doing those trap bangers, or strip club bangers, I should say, and just rapping, he was on here doing a lot of generic melodic auto-crooning. This shit, I don't know if you could make a more generic album. That's how generic this one was. You know, you got this awkward animal porn album cover as well. You got your dance hall tracks, all that croony shit going on. And he even had the audacity to make an I Need a Girl Part 3, which is one of the most disrespectful things of the year. So Kyoto, not good. You don't need to check out this one. Now, for number 6, we have Migos with Culture 2, and man, I am just so damn sick of Migos. Even going into this year, I think they were very one-dimensional and boring, although Culture 1 did have a couple of great tracks on it, but this shit was so bloated, it went on and on forever, felt like the same song over and over, and these guys really showed that they don't have a lot of versatility, depth, or range to hold together such a long project. Even if this was cut back to like 11 or 12 songs, it still would have been boring, but as it came out at like, I forget how long it was, like 20 plus tracks, it was awful. So you know what, there were only a couple of tracks that were good, so it wasn't a good album. And the next album also isn't good, coming in at number 5, and that is Nav with Reckless. This is another one of those projects that can be described as generic. He's one of the flattest, most boring auto-crooners out, although I will give him credit because his beats are alright once in a while. Comes through with that hazy night riding type of shit, so he's decent with that. But as far as being an artist goes and sticking out and standing out, Nav is a fucking snooze button. We don't need much more Nav, but hey man, he's out here doing his thing. Can't really hate on any of these artists for having success and doing what they're doing, but musically he's not really pushing any boundaries or anything like that. Shit is boring, it's a pass. And coming in at number 4 is Playboy Carti with Die Lit. Now, I have seen some people out there having this in their top 5 as one of the best albums of the year, but to me, this is another overbloated project that's overly repetitive, not just with the production style, but also the rapping, because Playboy Carti is almost doing more in the way of ad-libs than he is actually piecing together bars. I know you don't go into this shit expecting some great lyricism, but even still, this is some of the worst rapping I've heard all year. I find even some of the beats are kind of chintzy and cheap sounding, although I understand how they can work for bangers and parodies, those sorts of things. But you know what? The segmented flows and boring content really took me out of this one. Wasn't a fan at all, but hey, you guys love it. I hope you're enjoying it. And at number 3, just to get back to the Migos, we have Quavo coming through with Quavo Huncho, and this was pretty much the same thing as Culture too. Shit was boring, overbloated, but even worse because it was just Quavo. And you know what? For years now, people have been saying Quavo is the best member of Migos. I've seen that all the time, and I was always saying to myself, I don't think so. I think he's actually one of the most boring and one-dimensional out of all of them. And this one right here proved it, because this shit was awful, man. This is really well deserving of being at the number 3 spot. Boring, bloated, dumpster juice with fish bones in it. Definitely need to skip on that one. And for number 2, we have Lil Yachty with Lil Boat 2. And I don't even know what to say about Lil Yachty at this point, man. I know some people have been up and down with his projects, but I think he's been consistently awful pretty much from the start. And this is no difference, man. He's still unable to stay on the beat. He's slurry with his voice. His auto-crooning is awful. You do get some chintzy beats here. And he's not saying anything clever or important. So just everything about this is bad to me. I'm not fucking with Lil Yachty at all. But he's a happy young man who's having success, man. He's doing his thing. I just think this project is bad all around. And it's the same thing with my number 1 worst album of the year, Lil Xan, Total Xanarchy. This is really like the shittiest rapper I think I may have heard in my life. When you go on Genius and you look at the bars, there's a bunch of shit being repeated. Don't mind my windows coming in. Virus and threat protection. Wow, imagine that. It comes in when I'm talking about one of the worst albums, and you look at the album cover, it looks like you might need some virus protection, man. The shit is dirty as hell. But goddamn it, this was awful. This is so bad, there's not even that much to be said about it. You might have a couple of beats here that are decent, so I'm not hating on the producers, but Lil Xan himself, trash rapper, boring, repetitive lyrics, not saying a whole lot. And there you have it, man. 10 worst projects of the year. Not going to go too in depth because you know what? I don't think they deserve it. They're not good projects. That's just how I feel about it. But you guys can let me know what you think in the comments section. Let me know if you love some of these projects and why. Let me know what projects you think were some of the worst of the year. Keep it real. Let me know. And as always, make sure you do all that good YouTube and social media stuff where you show me love and you show me lots of it. Thank you for watching, everybody. I will see you next time.